What's up, guys? Today's video is going to be a little different. Today we're going to talk and just have a little bit of story time about one of my favorite players. Now you may see a picture up here. This fine fellow. This fellow here. This is Thomas Bentarus, my favorite player. And we're going to tell the story of the time that I joined Meridia for one day. Thomas is the leader of Meridia. So I show up in Meridia, and Thomas generally dresses, informally. He wears a lot of mob armor, mostly because he appreciates this awesome skin that he's made for himself. So I show up in Meridia, and I'm poking around, and I've found it before, and there's this vault underneath Meridia. And if you know Thomas, having a giant vault is not really his style, but I wondered, maybe it's all a facade. Maybe Thomas is actually a big power player with stacks of diamonds in this vault under his city. So I asked him, I'm like, hey Thomas, how much you got stowed away in that vault of yours? He's like, oh, I don't know, it's not mine. It was here when I came. So he's got this vault under his city, and not only is it not his, but he's never bothered to crack it open or figure out whose it is. So I go down there and I'm like, hey Thomas, you wanna break it open with me, see what's in there? And he's like, yeah, sure, sounds like fun. So we both head down there with our diamond picks. I've got my efficiency 5, my best pick, and I get started on one, check it. There's one layer of obsidian over a double chest. He looks over at another. He's like, oh, they've got this like enchanting setup surrounded in emerald reinforced obsidian. And I'm like, why don't we just start with like this double chest before we break open the big stuff? We'll get a taste of what's here, see if it'd be worth it to break open like the big vault. And he's like, yeah, sounds good. So we're over there, we're mining away at this obsidian block together. And I look over, and I ask Thomas, is your pick enchanted? And he's like, oh no. And I was like, I got 13 levels. You want to enchant it? And he's like, yeah, I got 14. I don't have an enchantment table. Now keep in mind, right now we're standing in the capital of the nation that he rules, a pretty relevant country, Meridia. So I ask him, I'm like, you haven't built an enchantment table yet? And he's like, yeah, no. And we got a couple of us in TeamSpeak at this point. We're like laughing a little bit. And I'm like, hey, Thomas, hit escape. I want you to open up your statistics. What does it say under time played? He looks, opens it up, and he's like, 13 days. He played for 13 days, ruled a country, made some pretty cool builds, and did not have an enchantment table. So by this point, we're getting a little rowdy in TeamSpeak. We're laughing, a little bit. And I'm like, alright everyone, calm down. It's not like there wasn't an enchantment table in Meridia. There just wasn't one that Thomas had access to. It just wasn't his. So then we're still mining at this block while all this is going on. I'm like, well, I guess we should start with that enchanting setup first and enchant our picks before moving on. But 13 IRL days of playtime. My average for vanilla servers is like an hour, and for Civ servers is like 2 or 3, but different strokes for different folks. I love you, Thomas.